Welcome to the Ultimate 2B guide, where we'll talk about team compositions, best stats, priority for the cube and for the skills, and then the full review. Before we start, hello the internet, welcome back to the Waifus. I'm Seppi. We do live streams every single day playing NIKKE and more games. You have the links on top and on the description, so come say hello. Let's get directly into the review. If you prefer a written version, we have it on our website, and it's what we'll be using as a reference. And let's start with the cube, the skills, and the stat priority, which is one of the things most people ask about. So to start with skills. You want all the skills at least at level 7. 2B is a high investment unit. So skills from 7 to 10, absolutely everything, because they work together. So a skill 1 increases max HP, a skill 2 based on max HP increases attack, and then the burst based on your attack deals a bunch of distributed damage to absolutely everything to destroy, right? So you need all the skills for this unit to work properly. So everything from 7 to 10 is going to be a high investment unit. When we talk about the cube, it's going to be a situation where it's like a Scarlet. It's better if you can run Resilience. If you don't have Resilience, you can run Bastion 2, so you can reload every 10 rounds, because that's good for her, because a reminder that the skill number 2 activates when fighting 300 times as well. So this is good. Resilience or Bastion are the go-to options for 2B. And then lastly, priority for the overloaded gear. It's going to be once again the same as a Scarlet, a little bit different though. She's not a unit that you have to worry about attack. She gets so much attack from her skills that you are better off focusing on crit rate and damage, elemental damage, max ammunition, and then lastly attack. But those stats are going to be the go-to for her. If you can get that perfect, if not, don't worry too much. Because once again, this is a unit that you will have to invest long-term. It's a really high investment attacker. That said, let's go into the pros and cons of 2B. Starting with the pros. First of all, a whole bakery. I think this is the biggest pro of this unit and my main reason to have her on my team. I don't care if she's not on the optimal team for me right now, but I'm using her for obvious reasons. Other than that, if fully invested, can or could outperform some of the top DPSs in the game. This is a big if, right? Full investment and team built around her. Those are the two things you need for her to be that good of a DPS. Third is HP for days. This is a unit that will tank a lot of damage. And then amazing for solo raid, union raid, and long fights. She needs to burst at least 3 times to get full potential on skill number 1, meaning that you need to burst at least 6 times before she reaches that full potential with your 2 burst 3s. And then when it comes to the cons, abnormal, limited by the collaboration. She also scales super well with dupes, which is expensive for free-to-play players. If you're a free-to-play, 1 copy is enough. If you like the background, go for MLB, but for most people, 1 copy is enough. It needs team around her. She also needs to have teams built around her. You cannot just go with random teams, put the Scarlet and it works. For 2B, you need specific teams, and we'll talk about teams in a second on the review. She also needs super high level investment. Basically, you need her a fully overload, and you also need the skills at least at level 7, all of them, preferably 9 to 10. And then lastly, not good for short fights, because she cannot take advantage of her skill number 1. It's not that she's bad for short fights or, for example, for early progression. It's just you will not take as much advantage of her as some other units or DPSs. That said, let's get into the full review. Before we keep going, leave a like, subscribe to help me grow the channel. We're almost at 3K. So let's go into the full review. Once again, you have the link for the full review if you prefer to read on the description. And now when it comes to the full review and the team compositions that you need to be running with her, we already talked about pros, cons, and the stats you need to be worrying, but what about other units? What are the good teams to be running with her? You have to understand something when it comes to 2B, and is that if you don't have a good team for her, she will never do the amount of damage that some YouTubers are putting out there. So she's a great unit, but you specifically need units. So for example, when it comes to burst ones, the best option is volume because of the crit buff. You can also be using Jackal, Summer Merit, and Noise just because of the heals and buffs. Also, Prima is a decent option, which I personally don't have in my synchro. I don't think I will be leveling her up yet, but Prima is pretty good because on the burst skill, she increases max HP for all the allies. And also on the skill number 2, which is a passive every time she attacks with full charge, which the AI should do by itself. So Prima, you can take her into consideration, even though the best option is volume, Summer Merit Goddess, and then Noise as well as a second burst one. Litter is not a bad option, but she will not benefit from the attack buff as much because she has so much damage that the Litter buff falls off when it comes to 2B. So you are better off going with volume. Even if you don't have them, you could go Miranda because the buff is going to go for her. So for example, as you can see here, affects one line with high attack. 2B has so much attack that this will go specifically to 2B almost 100% of the time. So you could use Miranda if you don't have anyone else. Now, one of the big problems, burst 2 units. This is really important. You need these units and I don't have them. I've been testing on friends accounts like always. Must is the best B2 for 2B. The other one you will get for free, so don't worry, it's Quincy. And as you can see, I'm still working on that, so I don't have either of them. Why they are so good? Because they both increase max HP. In fact, Must has a really big max HP buff without healing, which is fine. It doesn't really matter for 2B because she has so much HP that she will be able to tank. Now, what other options could you go if you don't have a Quincy and Must, like it's my case? Novel is going to be the best one. Guilty if you want to run another TPS, and then Blank, like always, if you are running Nor, could be a good option too, even if it's not the best. But the Novel is going to be the go-to for most people if you don't have Must and Quincy. Once again, reminder that Quincy is free, so when you get her, just replace whatever you're using with Quincy, and you have a really good team already with Volume or Miranda, Novel or Quincy if you have Must. Perfect. And then burst race. Of course, the first one is going to be 2B. And a lot of people will recommend using Scarlet, but Scarlet is a good unit, right? I would recommend not running Scarlet with her. It's an option, but the best option if you are running Must is actually going to be the unit that I don't want to level up. And it's actually pretty good. What are you? Guillotine. It's one of the best options that you will be able to run with this team. What is she up here? As you can see, she scored 3. She keeps following me. And why is she so good? Because the lower HP she has, the more damage she goes. She also benefits from crit damage, meaning she's actually the best pair you can put with Must, with Volume or Miranda for the crit, and also with 2B now. So they are going to be together on a team, and it's going to be actually a super strong team. So as you can see, if we come here, when HP falls below 70%, attack increased by 1% at max level for every 1% of HP lost. It's like 0.90 or something like that. She also increases her own critical rate, which again, they are going to be working super well together. As your last unit, you can run a flex spot in there. You might want to run another healer, maybe your Noise, which again is not good for Guillotine, but it's fine. You might want to run another DPS if you want. If you are running Blank, you can run Nor. If not, you can just put someone else in there. There's plenty of burst free, so this is the least worrisome position to go for. Something to take into consideration when we talk about burst threes is you need to be careful, because again, for the buffs, most of the time, they are going to the 2 units with the highest attack. This means 2B needs to be one of those. She usually will always be your high attack unit thanks to skill number 2. But take this into consideration because sometimes you might be running 2 super strong units and your 2B is not fully built, and she will not receive the buffs from Miranda, maybe from Quincy or Must. So that's the only thing you have to be careful about. But other than that, once again, if you can build around her, if you can invest in her, she is a beast. I might leave you with some videos in the description with my friends running some tests with her, and it's just incredible. She is catching up with the top DPSs in the game in the specific situations. So she's just like Summer and is where you actually need to build around her, and it's not just plug and play like a Scarlet. It's still a really good option. And now something important, and this is if you should pull for just one copy or multiple. Guys, you don't need MLB for any unit. I know it's hypocritical of me saying, oh, you don't need MLB, guys, but look at my MLB. If you're a free-to-play player, it's completely different, right? I spend money every single month in the game. When you're a free-to-play player, you really need to be careful on how to spend your resources, on how you manage them and where you pull or skill. I will say go for one unit. If you get lucky early on with pulls, maybe go for MLB. If not, it's good. If you're a spender, absolutely go for MLB. If you can get multiple cores, go for that. I'm gonna stop myself at our MLB because I want to pull for A2 as well, so we'll see how that goes. That said, that's going to be the review for 2B. Once again, you have the link in the description if you want to read the review instead of watching the videos. Reminder that we have reviews for absolutely all the characters in the game, and that you can support our content with Patreon if you want, which we are super grateful for all our Patreons for making this content possible. Thank you, brothers. Good luck with your pull dinnerets, and see you in the next one.
役立たずは楽園から追放するのみ。ブランとノワールのショータイムです。天地万物を切るとはこういうことです。